So I filled it up with water so that the if you were to actually look at the water, you would see that the water is very green. And then that way, when I pour in the chaya, and so we mix in quinoa, rice, lentils, and we combine it all together. So we buy the rice, or not? We buy the rice and the quinoa in bulk, and then we anything we can buy in bulk, we buy in bulk, and then we make our own mixtures afterwards. So we use right here is a lentils, rice, and quinoa mix. And then I just, whatever seeds I can find. I think that every household should have a thing of quinoa. Oh, I just realized there's some out here. A thing of quinoa, a thing of lentils, dried, have your bulk basics, and then you can combine them to make your meals more nutritious. And as you can see, I actually covered a layer of it across the whole greens. Because usually I eyeball it before I put the water in, but this time I'm doing it, eyeballing it afterwards. Generally, if you're serving, it's harder when you're serving just one person, so really what you should do is you should cook for 2 or 3 people, and then you have food for 2 or 3 days. If you hate having leftovers, this could be a problem. I personally think leftovers are perfect because you can use the leftovers for the next meal and making something even better. But as I said, what I did is I had a layer of greens. I had a handful of greens that I picked from the garden. And then I chopped them all up. I took the stems out because my son really doesn't like stems, and they do take like 3 times longer to cook. Because stems take so long to make soft. But they would be adding more nutrition. We just throw them in the compost, though. And then we have a thin layer of this. And it's, I maybe could put a little bit more in there because I guess some of it did sink. So it is actually hard for me to tell how much. Especially because so much of it, I don't know if you can tell, if you open that up, you can tell it actually has sunk quite a bit. So I actually have no idea how much I put in. Wow, you know what? I think I put in a lot more than I thought I had. So I'm going to fill up the water a lot more because that will soak up all the water. And I think I'm actually going to stir it all together. And that's probably a good idea. All right. Okay, I filled it up a lot more. And when I did that, you can tell the greens float to the top. And the quinoa is all sunk, so now I really don't know how much. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to go ahead, even though it looks like it's really full, I'm going to go ahead and have to see. I'm going to turn it on medium and then let it soak up, and then I'll come and check on it in about 15-20 minutes. While the other food is cooking, I'm going to cut up some chiles. The other day, I don't have a sample to show you, I made a video of it where we made some of these naan with greens from outside in the inside, but I'm going to use a different green. Last time I used some kale mixed with day flour and garlic chives and onions.
And carrots, I think some of them.
Oh, and carrots left over from a deal. Yeah, a lot of other stuff. But this time I'm going to, this is something called Gynura, and since they get really, really tall, and I'm trying to propagate, I'm trying to regrow. I one time had an entire yard worth, but it all died over some freeze that we had. And so I'm trying to regrow it, and so what I do is I'm going to, what's it called? I'm going to propagate it by putting those stems in water, and then it's going to regrow. And in the meantime, I'm just going to pick off the bottom leaves. I don't know if you want to help me with this, and we're just going to toss them in there. This is just flour. And we're just going to take the bottoms off, and so we're utilizing and then once I propagate, leave the bottoms there so that you only take off the bottoms. You want to leave the tops on so it has something to photosynthesize. And then we will put them in water and give them about a week or 2 to let the roots happen, and then we'll replant them. And again, if you want a stalk from our Gynura plants, subscribe onto Patreon, and maybe we'll make it one of the rewards that we'll send you something.
Stalk of Gynura?
Yeah. I think it would probably be maybe like the $50, I don't know. Right now we only have like a $1, $2, no, $200. $200 to come visit the garden. I think that's probably what I would do, is if you came and visited the garden, then I would send you, or let you go home with a stalk. Someone was just asking how much do I take off at the bottom. You really only need to leave, like this, you only take off, the bottom 3 or 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah.
The bottom half of it.
No, not the bottom half, just the bottom 3 or 4, because then the plant can use the rest of it.
Well, this one I took off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
Because we're supposed
So,
to.
okay.
So really, a better measure is leave at least a foot at the top.
Sure.
If
Well,
not more.
okay. In the bottom, you want to have, because you're going to put it in the ground. You're going to put about 6 inches of it into the ground. So if you have nice long stalks, you can leave.
Yeah.
My hand's about 6 inches, so you leave about 6 inches on the bottom. That's really all that matters. No matter how tall your stalk is, just as long as you make sure you have 6 inches on the bottom that you can put in the ground. And only about the bottom 2 inches are going to develop roots, usually, is my experience, but you're going to want to stick the whole bottom 6 inches into the dirt. Now, I wash any of my leaves in the garden because we have a lot of snails, and I know that the snails probably don't crawl over this plant, but we do have the pesticide, the mosquito truck comes by, and so because the mosquito comes by, that I want to get all the whatever neurotoxins and stuff, I want to get it off my leaves. So I actually wash all my leaves with soap and water. I just, squirt a little thing of the hand soap. We have very liquefied hand soap. And it's not actually Dial that we use. We don't use that. We don't use Dial. We use some kind of non-toxic soap of some kind that my mom gets from the store. I don't remember what it is. But anyways, the point is that we wash it with a non-toxic soap, and then we're going to rinse it really well. Now, I have a couple carrots here, so I set aside my guarana leaves with some garlic chives that I picked from the garden and some onions that I got from leftover salad. Because you can always, just take home a leftover salad. Basically, we go to this club and they give away salad for free, and we just take whatever leftovers they have, so we get lots of extra onions that way. We also have some leftover carrots, and I'm going to use the small ones to put, this mixture, Gynura mixture, is going to go into the naan that I made the other day, and I hopefully will have posted that by now. It was an experimental naan, and it's just sort of a stuffed inside. It's kind of more like a toaster strudel, or toaster where you have, I don't know if you've ever seen them, where you put them in the toaster and you warm them up, but they have filling on the inside. Hot pockets, right. So it's it's kind of, we're making basically toaster hot pockets like this. And we make them small enough you could put them in the toaster. And I'm going to put the thinner carrots in that one. And then I'm going to put the big one, carrots.
Oh, wait, we don't have cheese.
Yeah, we don't have any cheese right now. And we're going to put the bigger carrots into our rice so that they have the chunks that are in the rice. Okay, so lesson I learned was I tried to chop this all up at the same time, and it would have been fine if I had used, because I use this and it's a lot of fun to chop it all up at the same time, and that would have been fine, but the mistake I made was that I did not do the carrots first, and I should have chopped the carrots up smaller or shredded them in long strips like I had, because the reason why I did this is because the other day I had long strips that I had gotten from a leftover salad, and so I thought, I can do it the same with the carrot and the chunk. But as it turns out, does not quite work, not with this tool at least. With this tool, you want to chop up the carrots either in slivers and then put them in there so they get chopped up like they're like a leaf, or just cut them up really small by hand, by knife. Do those first and then put them in here, and then you can chop them all up and go in there.
It goes really well for the onions and the greens, basically everything else, so the carrots just kind of get pushed out of the way, or if lucky, it gets kind of half chopped through, stuck on the edge.
Yeah, so lesson learned. Don't put ground carrots.
One piece, still hasn't gotten cut.
Make sure those carrots are chopped up or slivered. If they were long slivers like they were the other day, then that will work. I don't know if I have the video of when they were long slivers. Okay, Eagle, another thing I've learned, if you're going to do this where you spread it out, you need to always, and I use the knife itself, Eagle, to get it all in there and scoop it out back in, because that way you make less of a mess. And my goal is to make as little mess as possible, because I really hate cleaning, and it's just nicer to be able to come in there. So don't keep spreading out, just bring it in, then come and chop it in. Be mindful of what you're doing the whole time.
Once you get near the edge, then scoop it like that. And do scooping up carefully.
And also probably not so much at one time. I put a lot in there. I just had a thought, though. One you could do is that you could use a food processor and chop it all up that way. And that's probably easier. I don't have I probably actually do have a food processor. I find them noisy. I don't like using them. As I said, I find them noisy. I don't like a lot of sound. I'm very sound sensitive. I have this thing where, yeah, very sound sensitive. So I don't like food processors. Or if you're one of those people who, is conserving on electricity, which we also happen to be trying to do sometimes, trying to lower the electricity bill. So you might want to, although they do have, for people who are trying to conserve electricity, they do have a hand-cranked food processor. And if I ever have a link for that, I'll put that down below, but I don't have that at this time. All right. We had to take a break in our cooking because we were just so hungry, and it's going to take a little while. And actually, the quinoa was probably already ready. The quinoa was already ready, but the greens, everything else needs to take a little bit longer to cook. And plus, there was just too much water in it. So we really quickly made ourselves a bowl of oatmeal. Now, to make the oatmeal more tasty, we added cranberries in mine. We added raisins in his. We had a little bit of coconut flakes that we had. We don't have much, but we're using the fumes to little bits of this, little bits of that.
Side note, warning, do not breathe fumes. It's bad for you.
What?
You said fumes.
Running on fumes. Oh, I see. Okay, there's a joke to it. Got it.
But you don't actually eat fumes.
But the point is that we can make
fumes to describe the fact that we're
it's a figure of speech. Yes. But the idea is that you take regular, like these are just plain old, very stale Cheerios, and I was like, and this is, watered down rice milk, and it's like, okay, well, how do I make it taste yummier? Okay, I add a little bit of coconut sugar, and we add a little bit of coconut, we add a little bit of, I added some protein, I added pecans, because I like pecans, he prefers the almonds, so we added almonds to his, some chia seeds to both, some hemp seeds, I think you forgot to add hemp seeds to yours.
I don't add hemp seeds anymore.
But if you...
I didn't make teeth, they hurt my teeth whenever. Every now and then I find a really hard shell or something from one of the hemp seeds.
Oh yeah, the hemp.
Like,
brand, for some reason, the brand that we have has hard shells in it.
Every now and then.
Yeah. But the point is, always keep chia seeds, always keep hemp seeds, always keep dried fruit, always keep little dried nuts, and then you could add it to. If you invest in that in the future. I mean, we probably bought all that stuff or got all that stuff. Maybe 6 months ago.
So you bought most 6 months ago?
Yeah, I bought most of it 6 months ago, or somebody was given to us 6 months ago. We actually we can't afford to buy our own groceries right now, so it was given to us about 6 months ago. But because we only use a sprinkle of it each time, you can take that expensive food item and add it. So once you buy all that expensive stuff, then you use the base stuff, and then. And then you can have really yummy...
A plus B equals yum.
It is yum. This is very yummy. I think the sugar helps a lot.
And this is just simple. Oats plus a few extra bits of raisins, berries. I think I had some sliced pecans in here.
But it's not a lot of sugar. It's not like, like the amount of sugar that they would get in a cereal box. This is all bland stuff, but we added just enough just afterwards to add in that flavor taste.
Raisins was they're high in a fructose content, so they're technically good for you, or it's better for you than glucose, anyways.
Yeah, fructose.
No, fructose is better for you than
glucose.
The other kind of sugar. I think it's glucose. Yeah.
Table sugar. It's better for you than table sugar.
Better for you than table sugar, anyways. And you get higher concentrations of fructose in stuff like raisins, which are dried grapes, of course. And so you get this little tiny sweet bite, which sweetens up the entire thing.
Yeah.
So if you just have, even if you just have one bite of raisin per every several bites, you get. And some things happen with cranberries. The cranberries add a nice bit of tart too.
Oh yeah, they do. I really like the cranberries, and the cranberries are good for you, and so are raisins, and so are nuts, and so are coconut flakes. So it's all so healthy and it's yummy. So yes, take a break, and when you're cooking, and if you can't wait till the food's cooked, and then later we'll go back to making the naan bread. Making more of that with healthy insides, vegetables from the garden. So subscribe so you can go see the other ones too. Yum.
Yum.
Check your posture. And as always,
thanks for watching. Remember to just breathe. Thank you.
Last time I'm going to make some naan. I put together 4 different little bits. We're going to take this mush mash in there, and I'm just going to pop it in there. And I stuffed it pretty full. Pause for a second. So we're going to start off with it pretty full. As you can see, it's just barely can get it all unstuffed in there. And I'm just going to seal it up. Just a piece. I'm going to get the wet stuff off of here because I want my board
Nice and dry.
nice and dry.
Tiny bit of flour.
Tiny bit of flour, just enough to make it so that it
Doesn't stick, yeah.
doesn't stick.
And so we fold it up in this nice little package. Blows it everywhere. Woo!
Now, it looks like I already made it pretty thin. The last time I used my hands to flatten it all out.
With some maybe use rolling pin.
Well, I was thinking of it, but you know what? I think I might go ahead. I don't know. Let's try it. No, yeah. It's this because it's so thin. It's better for me to use my hands.
A little squish right there.
Yeah.
Every now and then flip it, make sure that it gets evenly thinned out. Because
Yeah, I made it too thin. Yeah.
If you didn't give very much dough per large amount of grains.
All right. Put it in the thing.
Yum.
Even though this is a no-stick pan, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of oil on there. And I didn't put butter in this time.
Probably tastes better with butter.
Yeah, it probably does. Go ahead,
Better with butter.
Everything's always better with butter. Okay, go ahead and put it down. That's fine. And I'm going to let it warm up on there.
Ooh. Ah, the kitty cat. Yeah, bye.
Did you get?
Anyways.
I'm turning it off. I held it up pretty high. And
Hello.
This time. It's not
Yeah,
like
you
last
know,
time.
that's not gonna fit.
It will. It doesn't seem like it, but it will.
Yeah, sure.
And maybe it won't. And if it doesn't, then well, it doesn't. You're right.
Not gonna fit.
Yeah, maybe.
Good
he's right.
job.
It's very sticky for some reason.
Ah.
Okay. Turn it off, please. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some from this other one.
Hey, dude.
I'm just taking it from another one. And I'm going to attach it.
Yum.
Stop eating the dough.
Okay.
And we'll just take a chunk off of it and we'll flatten it out.
There, you put it on top.
Yeah. Ta-da! That's all. That's how you. If it doesn't work, it doesn't fit, then you go get another dough chunk and
Patch it up.
patch it up.
Like old jeans.
Is there a reason why you're putting it so close?
I'm gonna take the camera to one get in focus into the light. They're in focus. Random bits of flour and stuff.
Make it so it doesn't stick.
Doesn't fall giantly apart.
I'm making a lot more of a mess than I did last time. Please don't blow the dust everywhere. And again, I'm going to use my hands instead of rolling it out because
Let's go.
this is so tender. It's going to be uneven. This one's going to be uneven. That's just
Okay.
the way life is.
Still yummy.
Yeah. Let's see what some holes are.
Bye.
Yeah, these carrots are too thick. So that's the other thing is I made the carrots way too thick. So Make sure you have shredded carrots when you do it, and don't have thick chunks in like this. This is I think is creating all the holes, is those thick chunks right there.
Oh,
you can see
pierce.
it's piercing right through, pierce.
Ow.
And that's what it's causing it. So.
With those like, ow.
And they're going to be hard in there. They're not going to come cooked out soft. So just keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Fizz. All that fizz. Hey, look at the bouquet. Oh, there we go. Oh, almost in focus. Did it for a second. Damn you, camera! What's up? You're moving that around?
I put less
Happy
carrots in this time.
Silly amount of greens probably gonna make it go poop.
Well, hopefully having less carrots in there will, because the carrots are just too chunky. I didn't have slivers. Although I have some thick onions in there, so maybe that.
Wrap it up like a burrito.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now it's like a hot pocket. I want hot pockets.
This is a hot pocket. That's what I'm making you, basically.
It's bean, cheese, burrito stuff.
Well, I don't have any beans and cheese. We can make another one with beans and cheese, though.
Yes,
Not
someday.
a problem.
Okay. Yum. Clap, clap, bloop, clap, bloop, bloop, bloop.
Yeah, this
clap.
is my way of
Better,
flattening
better.
it out because it's so fragile. I could try doing that, but you can see all the holes.
Yeah. It's gonna fall apart.
Sure is.
Ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-bum.
Suppose, would you like to do the last one? Would you like to do the last one?
Sounds. Yeah, sure.
It's a really tiny
Hello.
piece, so you won't get a chance to do much on it, but you can either flatten it out with... No, you've got to flatten it out first before your hands get all wet.
See how well does it work with the... Yeah. And that's one problem I always have with rolling is they flatten a tiny bit of it out and then the rest of it kind
You're
of...
pressing too hard, that's part of the problem. And if the rolling pin gets wet, that'll also pick up on it.
Well, my part is just it spreads out so much.
Yeah, you're pressing too hard then.
Okay. That it kind of just like falls off the table.
And the fact that it's sticking also means that it's a little bit wet. So either the dough is wet or the flour is wet.
It's not wet.
It could be that the dough is wet then.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why you flip over and get all that flour on there. Yeah, that's probably pretty thin, so you want to put just a small bit. Yeah. Maybe not put so much in this time, because... I'm going to fold it over. It looks like I didn't quite make enough dough, so I'll have to do this later. Oh, you could put a little bit more in there. I didn't see how little you could put. Yeah, just a tiny bit more. Remember, I piled it really high when I did it.
I'll just rinse my hands to dry my hands off so I can get my hands off.
You don't need to do that.
Wait, did it stick my hands too much? Yeah.
Well, when you flatten it out and flip it over the other side, it will. You know what I do? So what I do is I stick it in here sometimes,
Okay,
slide it around, and then it picks up all the dust.
All the extra stuff, so there's no bits. Split open. Just split open. Beow, 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 beow. Ew.
It's alright.
It's leaking, ding, 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 ding. Alright, I think it says ass. Yum.
Unfortunately, I don't think there's enough room for that little piece of meat chip. So.
Wow.
Oops, let that overcook, so yeah, turn it down.
Yeah!
Woo! Way
Look at
overcooked.
that. I deep fried this piece special. What do you say? Deep fried.
Alright, well, so we can slide it in the other piece in there. So we weren't paying attention and we let it overcook. Ready? Whoop, whoop, boop, boop, boom, boom. Now, last little spot. Oh, just for it. Okay.
Yum.
Since I used up all my flour today, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the fridge and use it for tomorrow. Little bucket. Oh.
Delicious.
Yum. Nice and you can see the insides. Not really. Yeah, there you go. It turned out quite well, I think. And this is the one that he made.
I'll probably eat it with as a plate because I won't eat the bottom side. It's
We overcooked the bottom side.
a bit crunchy.
But, yeah. I'll just eat the crunchy part too. Yeah. Anyway, it turned out really good. Yum. I'm gonna eat mine too.
Yum. Yum.
Thank you for dinner, world. Thank you for dinner, life. Thank you for joining us for dinner. Everybody have a great night. Sleep well. Sweet dreams. Yum.